I woke up early.
I woke up early.
Me desperté temprano.
I woke up early. She brushed her teeth.
She brushed her teeth.
Ella se cepilló los dientes.
She brushed her teeth. He drank some tea.
He drank some tea.
Él tomó té.
He drank some tea. We watched the news.
We watched the news.
Vimos las noticias.
We watched the news. They got dressed.
They got dressed.
Ellos se vistieron.
They got dressed. I ate cereal.
I ate cereal.
Comí cereal.
I ate cereal. She tied her hair.
She tied her hair.
Ella se ató el cabello.
She tied her hair. He walked the dog.
He walked the dog.
Él sacó al perro a pasear.
He walked the dog. We left the house.
We left the house.
Salimos de la casa.
We left the house. They took the bus.
They took the bus.
Ellos tomaron el autobús.
They took the bus. I greeted my neighbor.
I greeted my neighbor.
Saludé a mi vecino.
I greeted my neighbor. She opened her notebook.
She opened her notebook.
Ella abrió su cuaderno.
She opened her notebook. He checked his schedule.
He checked his schedule.
Él revisó su horario.
He checked his schedule. We entered the building.
We entered the building.
Entramos al edificio.
We entered the building. They took the elevator.
They took the elevator.
Ellos tomaron el ascensor.
They took the elevator. I turned on the lights.
I turned on the lights.
Encendí las luces.
I turned on the lights. She grabbed a pen.
She grabbed a pen.
Ella agarró un bolígrafo.
She grabbed a pen. He answered emails.
He answered emails.
Él respondió correos.
He answered emails. We planned the day.
We planned the day.
Planeamos el día.
We planned the day. They took a seat.
They took a seat.
Ellos tomaron asiento.
They took a seat. I joined the meeting.
I joined the meeting.
Me uní a la reunión.
I joined the meeting. She gave a presentation.
She gave a presentation.
Ella dio una presentación.
She gave a presentation. He asked a question.
He asked a question.
Él hizo una pregunta.
He asked a question. We discussed ideas.
We discussed ideas.
Discutimos ideas.
We discussed ideas. They took notes.
They took notes.
Ellos tomaron notas.
They took notes. I printed documents.
I printed documents.
Imprimí documentos.
I printed documents. She made a phone call.
She made a phone call.
Ella hizo una llamada.
She made a phone call. He wrote on the board.
He wrote on the board.
Él escribió en la pizarra.
He wrote on the board. We solved the problem.
We solved the problem.
Resolvimos el problema.
We solved the problem. They clapped their hands.
They clapped their hands.
Ellos aplaudieron.
They clapped their hands. I stretched my legs.
I stretched my legs.
Estiré las piernas.
I stretched my legs. She drank more coffee.
She drank more coffee.
Ella tomó más café.
She drank more coffee. He replied to messages.
He replied to messages.
Él respondió mensajes.
He replied to messages. We ate lunch together.
We ate lunch together.
Almorzamos juntos.
We ate lunch together. They walked to the park.
They walked to the park.
Caminaron al parque.
They walked to the park. I sat on a bench.
I sat on a bench.
Me senté en un banco.
I sat on a bench. She read a book.
She read a book.
Ella leyó un libro.
She read a book. He listened to music.
He listened to music.
Él escuchó música.
He listened to music. We watched people.
We watch people.
Observamos a la gente.
We watched people. They played with the ball.
They played with a ball.
Jugaron con una pelota.
They played with the ball. I checked my phone.
I checked my phone.
Revisé mi celular.
I checked my phone. She took a selfie.
She took a selfie.
Ella se tomó una selfie.
She took a selfie. He recorded a video.
He recorded a video.
Él grabó un video.
He recorded a video. We talked about life.
We talked about life.
Hablamos de la vida.
We talked about life. They enjoyed the sun.
They enjoyed the sun.
Disfrutaron el sol.
They enjoyed the sun. I put on sunscreen.
I put on sunscreen.
Me puse protector solar.
I put on sunscreen. She wore sunglasses.
She wore sunglasses.
Ella usó gafas de sol.
She wore sunglasses. He kicked a ball.
He kicked a ball.
Él pateó una pelota.
He kicked a ball. We ran for fun.
We ran for fun.
Corrimos por diversión.
We ran for fun. They laughed out loud.
They laughed out loud.
Se rieron a carcajadas.
They laughed out loud. I tied my shoelaces.
I tied my shoelaces.
Me ataqué los cordones.
I tied my shoelaces. She took a deep breath.
She took a deep breath.
Ella respiró hondo.
She took a deep breath. He sipped his drink.
He sipped his drink.
Él sorbió su bebida.
He sipped his drink. We stood in line.
We stood in line.
Hicimos fila.
We stood in line. They bought ice cream.
They bought ice cream.
Compraron helado.
They bought ice cream. I tried a new flavor.
I tried a new flavor.
Probé un sabor nuevo.
I tried a new flavor. She spilled her drink.
She spilled her drink.
Ella derramó su bebida.
She spilled her drink. He cleaned the mess.
He cleaned the mess.
Él limpió el desorden.
He cleaned the mess. We walked back home.
We walked back home.
Caminamos de regreso a casa.
We walked back home. They talked on the way.
They talked on the way.
Hablaron durante el camino.
They talked on the way. I opened the gate.
I opened the gate.
Abrí la verja.
I opened the gate. She closed the door.
She closed the door.
Ella cerró la puerta.
She closed the door. He turned off the fan.
He turned off the fan.
Él apagó el ventilador.
He turned off the fan. We laid on the couch.
We laid on the couch.
Nos recostamos en el sofá.
We laid on the couch. They watched a show.
They watched a show.
Vieron un programa.
They watched a show. I changed the channel.
I changed the channel.
Cambié de canal.
I changed the channel. She turned up the volume.
She turned up the volume.
Ella subió el volumen.
She turned up the volume. He adjusted the pillows.
He adjusted the pillows.
Él acomodó las almohadas.
He adjusted the pillows. We relaxed together.
We relaxed together.
Nos relajamos juntos.
We relaxed together. They fell asleep.
They fell asleep.
Ellos se durmieron.
They fell asleep. I woke them up.
I woke them up.
Los desperté.
I woke them up. She made popcorn.
She made popcorn.
Ella hizo palomitas.
She made popcorn. He picked a movie.
He picked a movie.
Él escogió una película.
He picked a movie. We turned off the lights.
We turned off the lights.
Apagamos las luces.
We turned off the lights. They cuddled up.
They cuddled up.
Se acurrucaron.
They cuddled up. I felt cozy.
I felt cozy.
Me sentí cómodo.
I felt cozy. She smiled warmly.
She smiled warmly.
Ella sonrió cálidamente.
She smiled warmly. He told a story.
He told a story.
Él contó una historia.
He told a story. We laughed again.
We laughed again.
Reímos otra vez.
We laughed again. They fell asleep early.
They fell asleep early.
Se durmieron temprano.
They fell asleep early. I set an alarm.
I set an alarm.
Puse una alarma.
I set an alarm. She brushed her hair.
She brushed her hair.
Ella se cepilló el cabello.
She brushed her hair. He flossed his teeth.
He flossed his teeth.
Él usó hilo dental.
He flossed his teeth. We got ready for bed.
We got ready for bed.
Nos preparamos para dormir.
We got ready for bed. They changed clothes.
They changed clothes.
Cambiaron de ropa.
They changed clothes. I turned off my phone.
I turned off my phone.
Apagué mi celular.
I turned off my phone. She checked the windows.
She checked the windows.
Ella revisó las ventanas.
She checked the windows. He locked the front door.
He locked the front door.
Él cerró la puerta principal.
He locked the front door. We said goodnight.
We said goodnight.
Nos despedimos.
We said goodnight. They turned off the light.
They turned off the light.
Apagaron la luz.
They turned off the light. I slept well.
I slept well.
Dormí bien.
I slept well. She had sweet dreams.
She had sweet dreams.
Ella tuvo dulces sueños.
She had sweet dreams. He woke up first.
He woke up first.
Él se despertó primero.
He woke up first. We started the coffee maker.
We started the coffee maker.
Encendimos la cafetera.
We started the coffee maker. They made breakfast.
They made breakfast.
Prepararon el desayuno.
They made breakfast. I flipped the pancakes.
I flipped the pancakes.
Di vuelta los panqueques.
I flipped the pancakes. She added syrup.
She added syrup.
Ella agregó jarabe.
She added syrup. He poured orange juice.
He poured orange juice.
Él sirvió jugo de naranja.
He poured orange juice. We sat at the table.
We sat at the table.
Nos sentamos a la mesa.
We sat at the table. They passed the salt.
They passed the salt.
Pasaron la sal.
They passed the salt. I could thank them.
I thanked them.
Les agradecí.
I could thank them. She smiled kindly.
She smiled kindly.
Ella sonrió amablemente.
She smiled kindly. He told a joke.
He told a joke.
Él contó un chiste.
He told a joke. We laughed hard.
We laughed hard.
Reímos mucho.
We laughed hard. They finished eating.
They finished eating.
Terminaron de comer.
They finished eating. I cleared the table.
I cleared the table.
Recogí la mesa.
I cleared the table. She washed the dishes.
She washed the dishes.
Ella lavó los platos.
She washed the dishes. He dried the cups.
He dried the cups.
Él secó las tazas.
He dried the cups. We cleaned the kitchen.
We cleaned the kitchen.
Limpiamos la cocina.
We cleaned the kitchen. They wiped the counters.
They wiped the counters.
Limpiaron las encimeras.
They wiped the counters. I swept the floor.
I swept the floor.
Barrí el piso.
I swept the floor. She mopped the tiles.
She mopped the tiles.
Ella trapeó las baldosas.
She mopped the tiles. He took out the trash.
He took out the trash.
Él sacó la basura.
He took out the trash. We opened the windows.
We opened the windows.
Abrimos las ventanas.
We opened the windows. They let fresh air in.
They let fresh air in.
Dejaron entrar aire fresco.
They let fresh air in. I watered the flowers.
I watered the flowers.
Regué las flores.
I watered the flowers. She trimmed the leaves.
She trimmed the leaves.
Ella podó las hojas.
She trimmed the leaves. He pulled the weeds.
He pulled the weeds.
Él arrancó las malas hierbas.
He pulled the weeds. We checked the mail.
We checked the mail.
Revisamos el correo.
We checked the mail. They received a letter.
They received a letter.
Recibieron una carta.
They received a letter. I opened the envelope.
I opened the envelope.
Abrí el sobre.
I opened the envelope. She read it aloud.
She read it aloud.
Ella lo leyó en voz alta.
She read it aloud. He smiled big.
He smiled big.
Él sonrió ampliamente.
He smiled big. We celebrated the news.
We celebrated the news.
Celebramos la noticia.
We celebrated the news. They took a picture.
They took a picture.
Sacaron una foto.
They took a picture. I called my parents.
I called my parents.
Llamé a mis padres.
I called my parents. She texted her sister.
She texted her sister.
Ella escribió a su hermana.
She texted her sister. He emailed his boss.
He emailed his boss.
Él envió un correo a su jefe.
He emailed his boss. We shared the update.
We shared the update.
Compartimos la novedad.
We shared the update. They were excited.
They were excited.
Estaban emocionados.
They were excited. I walked to the store.
I walked to the store.
Caminé a la tienda.
I walked to the store. She made a list.
She made a list.
Ella hizo una lista.
She made a list. He carried a bag.
He carried a bag.
Él cargó una bolsa.
He carried a bag. We picked fresh fruits.
We picked fresh fruits.
Compramos frutas.
We picked fresh fruits. They chose some bread.
They chose some bread.
Eligieron pan.
They chose some bread. I bought eggs.
I bought eggs.
Compré huevos.
I bought eggs. She paid at the counter.
She paid at the counter.
Ella pagó en la caja.
She paid at the counter. He thanked the cashier.
He thanked the cashier.
Él agradeció al cajero.
He thanked the cashier. We left the store.
We left the store.
Salimos de la tienda.
We left the store. They walked back.
They walked back.
Caminaron de regreso.
They walked back. I put groceries away.
I put groceries away.
Guardé los víveres.
I put groceries away. She organized the fridge.
She organized the fridge.
Ella organizó la nevera.
She organized the fridge. He washed the apples.
He washed the apples.
Él lavó las manzanas.
He washed the apples. We made sandwiches.
We made sandwiches.
Preparamos sándwiches.
We made sandwiches. They grabbed drinks.
They grabbed drinks.
Fueron por bebidas.
They grabbed drinks. I packed a snack.
I packed a snack.
Guardé un snack.
I packed a snack. She filled a bottle.
She filled the bottle.
Ella llenó una botella.
She filled a bottle. He zipped the bag.
He zipped the bag.
Él cerró la bolsa.
He zipped the bag. We left for the park.
We left for the park.
Salimos para el parque.
We left for the park. They sat under a tree.
They sat under a tree.
Se sentaron bajo un árbol.
They sat under a tree. I read a magazine.
I read a magazine.
Leí una revista.
I read a magazine. She sketched the view.
She sketched the view.
Ella bocetó la vista.
She sketched the view. He whistled a tune.
He whistled a tune.
Él silbó una melodía.
He whistled a tune. We enjoyed the breeze.
We enjoyed the breeze.
Disfrutamos la brisa.
We enjoyed the breeze. They took a nap.
They took a nap.
Durmieron una siesta.
They took a nap. I lay on the grass.
I lay on the grass.
Me recosté en el césped.
I lay on the grass. She picked a flower.
She picked a flower.
Ella recogió una flor.
She picked a flower. He chased a butterfly.
He chased a butterfly.
Él persiguió una mariposa.
He chased a butterfly. We walked around.
We walked around.
Caminamos alrededor.
We walked around. They saw ducks.
They saw ducks.
Vieron patos.
They saw ducks. I took photos.
I took photos.
Tomé fotos.
I took photos. She posted online.
She posted online.
Ella subió en redes.
She posted online. He replied to comments.
He replied to comments.
Él respondió comentarios.
He replied to comments. We shared our moments.
We shared our moments.
Compartimos nuestros momentos.
We shared our moments. They felt grateful.
They felt grateful.
Se sintieron agradecidos.
They felt grateful. I hugged my friend.
I hugged my friend.
Abracé a mi amigo.
I hugged my friend. She held my hand.
She held my hand.
Ella apretó mi mano.
She held my hand. He nodded in thanks.
He nodded in thanks.
Él asintió en agradecimiento.
He nodded in thanks. We packed our things.
We packed our things.
Empacamos nuestras cosas.
We packed our things. They cleaned the spot.
They cleaned the spot.
Limpiaron el lugar.
They cleaned the spot. I threw away trash.
I threw away trash.
Tiré la basura.
I threw away trash. She folded the blanket.
She folded the blanket.
Ella dobló la manta.
She folded the blanket. He closed the basket.
He closed the basket.
Él cerró la canasta.
He closed the basket. We walked to the car.
We walked to the car.
Caminamos al carro.
We walked to the car. They drove home.
They drove home.
Regresaron a casa.
They drove home. I sang along.
I sang along.
Canté en voz alta.
I sang along. She turned on the radio.
She turned on the radio.
Ella encendió la radio.
She turned on the radio. He tapped the steering wheel.
He tapped the steering wheel.
Él golpeó el volante.
He tapped the steering wheel. We stopped for gas.
We stopped for gas.
Nos detuvimos a cargar gasolina.
We stopped for gas. They paid with a card.
They paid with a card.
Pagaron con tarjeta.
They paid with a card. I cleaned the windshield.
I cleaned the windshield.
Limpié el parabrisas.
I cleaned the windshield. She used the squeegee.
She used the squeegee.
Ella usó la escobilla.
She used the squeegee. He checked the tires.
He checked the tires.
Él revisó las llantas.
He checked the tires. We got back in.
We got back in.
Volvimos a subir.
We got back in. They reached home.
They reached home.
Llegaron a casa.
They reached home. I opened the trunk.
I opened the trunk.
Abrí el maletero.
I opened the trunk. She carried the bags.
She carried the bags.
Ella cargó las bolsas.
She carried the bags. He unlocked the door.
He unlocked the door.
Él abrió la puerta.
He unlocked the door. We walked inside.
We walked inside.
Entramos.
We walked inside. They took off their shoes.
They took off their shoes.
Se quitaron los zapatos.
They took off their shoes. I stretched my back.
I stretched my back.
Estiré la espalda.
I stretched my back. She flopped on the couch.
She flopped on the couch.
Ella se tiró en el sofá.
She flopped on the couch. He grabbed a snack.
He grabbed a snack.
Él agarró un snack.
He grabbed a snack. We watched TV.
We watched TV.
Vimos televisión.
We watched TV. They relaxed for a while.
They relaxed for a while.
Descansaron un rato.
They relaxed for a while. I turned off the TV.
I turned off the TV.
Apagué la televisión.
I turned off the TV. She opened a book.
She opened a book.
Ella abrió un libro.
She opened a book. He dimmed the lights.
He dimmed the lights.
Él bajó las luces.
He dimmed the lights. We said goodnight.
We said goodnight.
Nos despedimos.
We said goodnight. They went to sleep.
They went to sleep.
Se fueron a dormir.
They went to sleep.